Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, friends. Today we are watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 2, Who Mourns for Adonis? Can't wait to get into this one, friends, so I'm not going to. If you could do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ringy-ding-ding that bell for notifications, and you'll be alerted next time we go live with the original series, or Lower Decks, or any of our sci-fi offerings. And of course, if you'd like anything that we do early, or in its full-length format, the link to the Patreon is in the description. Don't like Patreon? Stick with us here on YouTube memberships, and you'll get everything about a day early, plus any bonus material for any subsequent series that we have. But friends, all that is then, and this is now, and now it is time to gaze upon the beauty that is the Starship Enterprise and her beloved crew, as we watch Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 2, Who Mourns for Adonis. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction, and away we go. Look at that beauty. That's a good shot, too. She's showing off.
Well, I was up all night working on this report, sir.
Well, in that case, there's nothing like a wee bit of coffee to get you back in shape. Join me, Carolyn?
All right, Scotty.
Oh, I like this. What's going on here?
Could you get that excited over a cup of coffee?
Well, even from here, I can tell his pulse rate's up.
Gentlemen.
Leave me alone.
I'm not sure I like that, Jim.
What?
Why, Bo? Scotty's a good man.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the right man for her, but I'm not sure she thinks he's the right man. On the other hand, she's a woman. All woman.
Bones, you once said, I'm a surgeon, not a psychiatrist. Let's stick with that.
I like to think of it not so much as losing an officer as gaining...
Come along.
A pair of officers.
Actually, I'm losing an officer.
Standard orbit around Pollux for sir.
Hey, we got Chekhov and Sulu. Let's do this.
Captain?
What are we looking at? Is that a hand?
Analysis, Mr. Spock.
Momentarily.
It's a hand, Jim.
Am I seeing things?
Not unless I am, too.
Pull out, yeah, fall back.
Giant hand.
Yeah, reaching for you. Let's get back. Come on, Jim.
Negative, Captain. Not living tissue.
A trick, then. A projection?
Not a projection, sir. A field of energy.
Oh, then if it's material, let's get out of here.
Hard about. Hard about.
There we go.
Can't seem to get away from it.
Well,
It's almost as if it means to grab us.
well, what else is a hand gonna do? Oh, wow! Incredible stunt work, especially by that guy in the front of the navigation station.
Helm doesn't answer. We can't.
He took a hell of a bump. Great shot of those two. All right, Jim's going to tell us about the final frontier. Oh, can't believe we're in season 2 already. But you know what? These adventures mean the absolute world to me. To be able to experience something so long in the cooking, so long in the baking, you know?
To
Explore strange new worlds. That's my favorite part about Star Trek. I know it's kind of cliche to say it, but my favorite thing is the exploration of the unknown. Oh, it is just so amazing to see them go somewhere, even when they experience, like, for us, the unknown, the audience, the unknown, like the first time we meet the Romulans and, you know, first time we meet the Klingons. That stuff is, oh, I absolutely love it. We don't have to fight, you know, I mean, you know, space combat's cool and all, I mean, but just, oh, I love them watching. I love watching the crew be badass scientists and explorers. That's my thing. That's my jam. Look at this. Gotcha. Now I'm gonna eat you. Ah, you look like a sandwich.
Captain's...
Mark Daniels. Fuck yeah, we haven't had Mark in a while.
Lieutenant, relay our position and circumstances to Starbase 12
That guy in the
immediately.
back in the gold that just walked past Uhura, he's the one that took that bump. That was a hell of a bump he took.
Full impulse power forward and back. Aye, aye, sir.
Try rocking it? That's an interesting.
Minor damage. Stations 3, 7, and 19.
Sick bay reports 5 minor injuries, all being treated.
Thank you.
I love the reports. I love the reports.
No results, Captain. We stuck tight.
Have you tried to hail anybody? Just the general distress or general, like, transmission?
Despite its appearance, that of a human appendage, it is definitely not living tissue.
Where's it being projected from? Can we find a source? That's a good bit of movement work by Bill.
Screen on, Captain.
What are we looking at? Well, hey, how you doing?
Activity on hailing channel 3, sir.
We found your hand.
The eons have passed, and what has been written has come about.
Okay.
You are most welcome, my beloved children. Your places await you. We shall drink the sacramental wine.
Okay.
There shall be the music of the pipes.
I like pipe music.
Yes, I caused the wind to withdraw from your sails.
Okay.
It has been 5,000 years. Have you learned no patience in that time?
I don't know who or what you are, but I must warn you, we have the power to defend ourselves. If you value your safety...
Jim, this is bluster that you maybe can't back up.
How like your fathers you are. Agamemnon, Hector, Odysseus.
Greek heroes?
You will obey me, lest I close my hand.
Thusly.
Thus.
800 GSC and climbing.
Compensated.
I mean, compensate. You can't compensate forever.
1000 GSC and climbing.
Okay. Uncle.
All right, whatever you're doing, turn it off. You win.
Man, we're dealing with some, like, major league powerful people.
Captain Kirk, I invite you and your officers to join me. But do not bring that one. The one with the pointed ears.
Why?
He is much like Pan, and Pan always bored me.
Pan, this guy's...
You are returning home.
Do these people think they're the Greek gods? Is that why it's Who Mourns for Adonis? I thought Adonis was a Greek hero. It's been a bit for my Greek mythology.
Verbose, isn't he?
Insulted, Spock?
Insults are effective only where emotion is present.
I am fine. But fuck him. That'd be so great.
You're the best man to find the answers.
Yep. I love... Jim's level of respect for Spock is fantastic. I mean, you know... Are we outside or are we on a set?
What am I doing down here, Doctor?
Oh, you're the A&A officer.
Set.
Archaeology, anthropology, ancient civilizations.
Correct.
Well, we're going to need help in all those areas.
At least I think it is. Yeah, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, whoa. I think that's our guy. Call it a hunch.
You mentioned Agamemnon, Hector, Odysseus. How do you know about them?
He knew them. Are they saying the Greek gods are aliens? I love it.
I am Apollo.
And I am the Tsar of all the Russias.
That's a check.
I'm sorry, Captain. I never met a god before.
And you haven't yet.
Yeah, and shh.
Mother of the most beautiful of women in the universe. That at least has not changed.
Scotty, you've got competition.
Zeus, Athena, Aphrodite, Artemis, a gallant band of travelers. We knew your Earth well 5,000 of your years ago.
I love it. So the Greek gods, they're saying are alien life forms?
You will not leave this place.
Okay. Well, first problem is that.
The transportation device no longer functions.
Ah, well, thanks, Apollo.
Enterprise, come in.
I will not permit that device to work either, Captain.
Jesus, how do you deal? I mean, the power that Kirk and the crew have to face.
Worship me, as your fathers did before you.
Okay.
Let the lesson begin.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to Olympus, Captain Kirk.
Alrighty, well, everyone, that just happened. There is a goofy nature to this one, but somehow it's working for me.
Lieutenant Kyle, I want a complete sensor scan of the planet.
Aye, sir.
Locate all life forms. I want to know what's going
Oh, Kyle, I didn't recognize you out of your jumpsuit. Oh. And he's gone. Took a lot out of him.
Fascinating.
That's not your line, Bones.
Analysis.
Quick, untune his harp.
Power is what he controls. You can't do tricks like that without energy.
Fine, but what power and where is it? Scout around with your tricorders. Find the source of that power. Boom.
Why are we splitting up? We only have one red shirt down here, and it's Scotty.
What if he
Is really Apollo. Yeah.
really Apollo?
What?
Captain?
Oh, and hey, he's back. I had to go use the little god's room.
We don't bow to every creature who happens to have a bag of tricks.
Ooh, creature.
Agamemnon was one such as you. And Hercules. Pride and arrogance.
Well, it's good company, I guess.
I have 430 people in that ship up there.
No, you do not, Captain. They are mine.
Okay.
To save, to cherish, or to destroy at my will.
Why?
There you go.
What you've said so far makes no sense at all.
Well, for good or ill, he seems to be listening to you.
You seem wise for a woman.
Thanks, Apollo.
You will know what it is to be a goddess.
Leave her alone.
That's right, Scotty.
You risk much.
And so do you.
Well, Chekhov was ready to throw down.
None of your toys will function.
Okay.
The bow arm should be bare.
Well,
She's not going with you.
dear Lord. Scotty, you're gonna get killed, bud.
Come.
It's all right, Captain. I'll go.
Yeah, Carolyn, it's gonna be up to you here because you might be able to manipulate this, god. Oh, Lord.
Bones, how is he?
He's dead.
Stunned, but coming around. I'm not sure it's wise to let her go off like that.
He would have been rather difficult to stop.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey,
He's benevolent one minute, angry the next. One wrong move from her and he could kill her.
could kill you all.
Continue your investigation.
Aye, aye, sir.
Yeah, check off. See what you can see.
Hopefully to find out more about him. She's doing her job. I think it's about time you started doing yours.
Yeah, she's working.
I want no more unauthorized action against Apollo, or whatever he is. That's an order.
Aye, aye, sir.
Yeah, Scotty's a good soldier. He'll...
Besides, you stiff-necked thistlehead, you could have gotten yourself killed.
Aye.
Scotty doesn't believe in gods.
Apollo's no god.
He's something. I like the idea that the Greek gods were aliens. That's kind of cool.
A highly sophisticated group of space travelers landed on Earth, around the Mediterranean.
Yes.
I love it. I like that idea. Really cool.
Creatures like that would have been gods.
Especially if they had the power to alter their form at will and command great energy.
Great technology looks like magic.
They couldn't have been taken for anything else.
Ooh, what is that?
Polarity, Mr. Sulu.
Computed and standing by to generate, sir.
Activate all units.
We haven't seen that viewer, I don't think, on the helm.
Cut power, Mr. Sulu.
They need to get the bridge yeoman a station to stand with, you know, or a seat.
Well, I might be able to rig up a subspace bypass circuit.
Good, do so.
Sensor report, Mr. Kyle.
Well, I've located the landing party, sir, but one of them seems separated from the other four.
Kyle getting some lines.
Mr. Spock, here's something. There seems to be a radiated energy pulsation coming from the planet.
I love everybody working.
A simple process of elimination.
The whole planet, sir? Yes, sir. The whole planet.
Spock doesn't mean anything half-assed, you know. Oh, are we gonna get a real exterior here, or no?
It's lovely.
I've known other women.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of course, a girl doesn't go walking with a...
A god.
All
Yeah.
right.
Play into that. Apollo's ego is easily stoked.
What happened to the others? Artemis, Hera.
They return to the cosmos. The wings of the wind.
Explain that.
God cannot survive as a memory. We need love, admiration, worship.
Well, then what have you had here?
You really think you're a god?
In a real sense, we were gods.
Oh, he admits.
We waited. All of us. Through the long years.
Is he the only one left?
Hera was first. She stood in front of the temple and spread herself upon the wind. Thinner and thinner.
Wow, it's like they were forgotten and...
I knew you would come to the stars one day. Of all the gods I knew, and I waited. Waited for you to come.
So the rest of them have gone on to the other place, except you.
Unquestionably, an immensely powerful field of energy is being generated around here somewhere. But we're just having difficulty focusing on it.
I wonder if it's the dispersed other gods.
The captain requires complete information.
Spock's contaminating this boy, Jim.
Are you suggesting that he, Apollo, taps a flow of energy and channels it through his body?
I'm wondering if that, like, they said Hera became the wind. I wonder if all the gods are force fields, part of the force field. Well, Apollo.
Where's Lieutenant Palamas?
He is no longer of any concern to you.
Well, that's like...
Saracen, what have you done?
Scotty, he's gonna straight up kill you.
Not good. Severe shock.
I mean, it usually happens when you get struck by a bolt of lightning, but...
You wanted worshippers? We've got enemies. You want us to bow down?
Well, this is not great. How do you face such power like the Metrons? And I mean, my God, and Trelane. I mean, you can't, Lord Almighty. Oh.
Chekhov, give me a hand.
He has a finite amount of power, it looks like.
Apollo looked very strange when he disappeared. Tired or in pain. I don't know if it means anything.
Very good, Mr. Chekhov. That might very well mean something.
Chekhov, absolutely pulling his weight.
Some neural damage.
We've got to get out of here.
Scotty, you were ordered not to attack, buddy, or any unprovoked action against Apollo.
If I remember my ancient legends, the gods, after expending energy, required rest, even as we humans.
And Apollo's gone. After attacking you and Mr. Scott.
He has a finite amount of power.
Remember, he's keeping a force field on the ship, and he's expending energy down here.
Right.
Wear him out, overwork him, that might do it.
The trouble with overworking him is that it can get us killed.
Right.
We can provoke him so that he strikes one of us again. There's a chance that he'll be drained enough so the rest of us can jump him.
Woo!
Not all of us, Bones. When he comes back, it's a chance we'll have to take.
So we're willing to sacrifice one person so the others can maybe win in a physical confrontation?
If it isn't done just right, I could blow the entire communications system. It's very delicate work, sir.
I can think of no one better equipped to handle it, Miss Uhura.
Oh, what a line. I can think of no one better equipped to handle it. Oh, the highest of praise from Spock.
No chance at all of power originating in those areas.
Continue the search.
Aye, sir.
See, this is the type of episode I love. Everybody's involved.
We'll take these equations to the nuclear electronics lab. I want them to work on the problem of negating the force field in selected areas. It might be done by generating a strong pinpoint charge of M-rays on some of these select...
Man, does Kyle have the bluest eyes ever? I think maybe he does. I love this. Everybody's got an assignment. Everybody's got shit that they're working on. Everybody's got a job. Awesome. Really cool.
Come here.
This guy's a little goofy, but whatever.
I could sweep you out of existence with a wave of my hand and bring you back again.
Really?
Mankind has no need for gods. We find the one quite adequate.
Ooh.
I offer you eternal rest and happiness according to the ancient ways. I ask little in return.
Praise and worship, I guess.
I said approach me.
We're busy.
We're busy. Scotty, he'll kill you first.
You said you were gentle and understanding.
Lieutenant!
How can they worship you if you hurt them?
Let her cook, man.
Please don't hurt them.
Jim, she's got this guy.
You will make plans to bring the rest of your people down.
That's not how this works, bud.
You will dismantle your ship for the supplies you need.
Okay.
I shall be patient no longer.
I think I figured out what's getting on here. He's about ready to die or become part of the wind like Hera did. And he needs like immediate praise to like rejuice.
I offer them more than they could know.
Now the lieutenant, she's working.
I offer you more than your wildest dreams have ever imagined. To become the mother of a new race of gods. You shall complete me. And I you.
Okay. Wonder how Bill Shatner felt about this. This is an episode where he doesn't get a kiss. It never happens. I understand that. It's such a stereotype. Unless the kiss of the week becomes a thing in seasons 2 and 3. I haven't seen it yet.
How old are you?
22, sir.
Then I'd better handle it.
Sit down, Chekhov.
You all right?
Oh, yes, I'm all right. I have a message for you.
Oh, what's going on? Has she been like ensorcelled or?
He wants to provide for us. He'll give us everything we ever wanted.
Okay, but.
Reject him. You must. You're special to him.
Yes. I love him.
Oh.
Oh, but you don't understand. He's kind and he wants the best for us.
I think that kiss did something to her.
By remembering who and what you are, a bit of flesh and blood, afloat in a universe without end.
I like that line. A bit of flesh and blood, awash in the universe. Great stuff.
My orders and my duty.
Yep.
Enterprise to Captain Kirk. Enterprise to Captain Kirk. Come in, Captain.
Kirk here.
Nice, Uhura.
Is there a structure of some sort near you?
There is indeed, Mr. Spock.
The power emanates from there.
Really?
Have Mr. Sulu lock all phaser banks onto the structure. Fire on my order only, and cut it fine. We'll be standing nearby.
We're danger close.
If that structure is the source of his power, I want to know where he is when we attack it. Kirk out.
If Spock said, did he say Apollo? I don't think they've told the ship yet.
She might get killed.
Yes, I know. Scotty, we'll wait.
Meanwhile, and from here to eternity.
I must get on with my work now.
Your work?
I'm a scientist.
Uh-oh.
I'm not some simple shepherdess you can awe.
Uh-oh.
No more love you than I could love a new species of bacteria.
Brutal. Whoa.
The devil is that?
Can't wait any longer, guys. Blast the temple.
Stand by your faces, Mr. Spock. Prepare to fire on my signal. Kirk out.
Gentlemen, let's get away to a minimum safe distance here. He's showing off.
You've got to be here when he comes back.
But what if he doesn't? What if...
Scotty, just hold on.
Keep your shit about you, Scott. It's me in the clouds. This reminds me of the beginning of Flash Gordon when Ming kind of flies into the airplane.
Mr. Spock, fire those phasers.
Captain, you're too close.
Fire those phasers. That's an order, Mr. Spock.
Uh-oh. We're heating that sucker up. Yeah, go, Scotty. Well, no, it's gone orange. That's usually a bad sign.
Maintain firing, right?
Maintaining, sir.
I love it. Everybody working on this one. He's using a lot of power. Oh. Now what, Apollo? I think it's time for somebody to become part of the wind, which is what you're raging against to begin with. Didn't want to die. That's what I'm guessing. That's my theory, is he didn't want to die. And he just wanted to keep on keeping on. Everybody else is gone. This guy's doing a pretty good job as Apollo, too.
I would have cherished you.
I have no doubt.
I would have loved you as a father loves his children.
But you needed them.
I would have made a goddess of you. I've shown you my open heart.
This guy is doing a good job. Wow.
Hermes, Hera, Aphrodite, you were right. There is no room for gods. Forgive me, my old friends.
They should have the wind blow here.
The way they began the Golden Age. Would it have hurt us, I wonder, just to have gathered a few laurel leaves?
Great line, but he wouldn't have let you gather just a few. Oh, that was our leave line. All right, everybody, we just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 2, Who Mourns for Adonis? And the only thing left to do is to talk about it. All right, everybody, just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 2, Who Mourns for Adonis? I really enjoyed this episode for a reason other than the main plot. You could have really inserted any main plot in here, and I think I would have enjoyed it quite a bit, because this is exactly what I was talking about at the top of the episode, where, I love to see the entire crew working on something. It's my favorite type of episode, when we have like an ensemble problem solving event where everybody's got one role to play, everybody's got something specific to do. And in this particular episode, I think more than maybe any other that we've seen so far, we really had like all hands on deck here. Everybody was doing something, from Scotty, Uhura, Sulu, Chekhov to the big three of Spock and McCoy and Kirk. Everybody had something to do. It wasn't like all on Kirk's shoulders. It wasn't all on like Spock to figure out things, on the science kind of problem solving side. And I don't think that was, I mean, the best example of that was when he checked in on Uhura and she said, this is delicate work. I could blow out the entire system if I do this wrong. And Spock said, I can think of no one better else to do this. No one else better to do this. And, I thought that was really just kind of summed up the episode. Everybody, including like Transporter Chief Kyle, everybody had something that they were working on. Everybody had something that they were doing, a task they were assigned that wasn't not just a throwaway. Kyle was working on, what was it, punching out through the force field with like pinpoint phasers. Really great stuff. I really like what they're doing with Chekhov's character too, in that he's young, but he's very intelligent. He's got a bit of knowledge about everything. Sort of reminds me a little bit of Bradward Boimler from Star Trek Lower Decks, in that, you've got this young officer that possesses an incredible amount of knowledge, but little practical experience, which I think is what we're supposed to kind of glean from the fact that when you mention somebody's age, especially in this, and then Kirk kind of dismissively saying, like, okay, well, then maybe I should handle this if you're 22. That's basically like letting us all know, the audience know, Chekhov might have a tremendous like wealth of information, just no applicable, he hasn't been able to apply it at any point. So he doesn't have the experience associated with the learned knowledge, but he does possess the knowledge. So that's a great thing. And it establishes a really cool kind of move going forward. If we can now know what to kind of expect from Chekhov, Chekhov can provide, you almost act as a Spock in a way whenever Spock's not around, because Chekhov has like this kind of vast knowledge that he apparently is able to pull from. And I love that. I love it. Immediately gives Chekhov's character a purpose, and that's really great. Both a narrative purpose and a practical purpose. He's young, he's inexperienced, but he's very knowledgeable, and then practical, like Mr. Chekhov figured this shit out. So it's. I love seeing stuff like that. Scotty played the role that he needed to play in this. I think it was kind of shoehorned a little bit at the top of the episode that he liked Carolyn, but that's fine. I mean, it wasn't poorly done by any stretch of the imagination. I think what my biggest problem is I'm so used to serialized television now, that episodic television, I need to have like more of a breadcrumb trail to follow back to like the Carolyn Scotty relationship. Like I needed that to start in season 1, I guess, because I'm a snob now, I guess, when it comes to that type of stuff. So I have to kind of make sure I gear down into the appropriate, I got to maintain they're working with episodes. And so I need to be aware of that. I need to kind of, compartmentalize how I'm thinking about different shows in association with the original series. We just don't have that carry through and that bleed through. So there's no character development beyond the episodes, so to speak. I mean, we can have some, but they don't relate back to anything or refer to anything and stuff like that, which is, believe me, I love it. It's just, it's my problem. I need to kind of reorient myself. But it's really cool. These episodes are just so fantastic in how they're constructed, especially ones like this. We had just everybody putting forth a full effort. I think of that guy that he was just a background extra, wearing the gold shirt, who took that horrific bump and landed in the front of the navigation station. Really, I mean, just everybody on their A game in this one. Really good stuff. And Mark Daniels directing. We've had Mark around forever. Haven't seen him in a while though. Mark was there since the Man Trap. crap. I mean, we've had Mark on in quite a few really great episodes. I'm very happy to see him back. A lot of people have kind of cycled in and cycled out, and we haven't seen them anymore. Like the Vincent McKevity is the one I think of. I haven't seen him in a while, and he's my favorite. I think he has some of the best stuff on screen as far. But I really like Mark Daniels too, and I'm glad that he was here because you can see that there's a tightness to his shooting, and I really appreciate that. He does a lot with little. We basically had two locales, the bridge and the temple. We didn't even go. We were even in the transporter room? I don't think so. I think that's like literally the only two places that we were. Really cool stuff though. But let's look at the rest of the episode. A lot of this stuff we'll get into in Q&A as far as the guest stars and everything. But I did want to say that Michael Forrest as Apollo did a really good job. He was given this overbearing play of God. He played a God. He very believable as what they gave him to play as Apollo. I can see too where some people might not like the episode because it's sort of cheesy, like the Greek gods are aliens. And I appreciate that look at it too. People can. I mean, I think that if I wasn't so enraptured with the idea that everybody was playing into this episode and doing such a good job, that might have thrown me out of it. But again, I think it was an interesting concept. It's very similar to, for me, like where they talk about the pyramids being built by aliens and like Stargate and things like that. The idea that the Greek gods were also aliens or had an alien affiliation or whatnot is really believable because there's always that old adage that technology will look like magic to higher forms of technology look like magic if you don't have that. I mean, the ability to disappear could look like, magic. Nope, it's just the transporter. So it depends upon, your perspective. And I like the idea quite a bit that, he described enough about what happened to the Greek gods. They kind of evolved into another state. He said, I really dug the way that he described like Hera's transcendence, where she went to like, she became a part of the wind, and just went, you know, dematerialized and became a part of the wind. And he had said too, but Apollo had said, do you die? And he goes, no, we're immortal. We don't die. So you think, okay, well, he didn't describe that as death, just as a change. And it's something that obviously, you find out Apollo's the only one that was kind of holding out. Like he didn't want to do this. He wasn't going to go. He just absolutely didn't want a part of any of this. He didn't want to transcend or whatever would happen to be. But at the end, he admits his mistake and he says, please, friends, take me with you. And that plea in and of itself, I think, really sold the episode. That kind of come to come to Jesus moment that Apollo had at the end of the episode, I think tied it together really well. It was able to give the crew an out, where you're not fighting a god, and also lend a really kind of human resolution to that. Everybody can, all human beings can at least associate with the idea of death. Doesn't matter about your religious beliefs or anything, you have thoughts on death. And so, I think that there are a number of people that if you look at Apollo's plight, it's relatable. He didn't want to die. Or what he believed to be death, or he believed to be a change that he didn't want to take. And again, that's where the religion comes in. There has to be a faith in that. There has to be a faith that you aren't just disappearing, you're becoming something else, you're going some other place. And that's the essence of faith. And it was a really cool way to kind of bridge the science of Star Trek and like the theology of Earth's ancient past, with the pantheon of gods and things like that. And again, beyond all of that, it was, to me, it was a story about, human emotions, life and death, and the feelings towards both of those, love, worship, praise, ego, things like that, but represented in this alien being, this god. And it was really interesting, and I think that the kind of summation of that is when Kirk said to him, you're asking for something that we can no longer give. We've evolved past that. We've evolved past this the need for this pantheon of gods. He said, one will do. And again, that speaks to Kirk's own belief system, And it was a lot of revelatory information in here and very introspective information here, which is the perfect way a science fiction story can tell its tale, because it's dealing with things that we are familiar with by placing us in an unfamiliar alien situation, dealing with gods and all this stuff. Expertly done as always. It's such a joy to watch something as with such construction, with such storyboarding, with such editing, with such, purpose of path when they're telling a narrative tale. And it's I love it, friends. But you know what I love even more? I love being able to learn more about the episode. I love being able to look into it and see behind the cameras, because there's always a story there. There's always a story behind the cameras, and then sometimes it rivals even what the cameras have picked up. The story behind the scenes. It's always exciting on Star Trek. But the thing is, I don't know any of what happened behind the scenes. But there is somebody that might. You just have to ask. Q? Greetings, mon capitains, and welcome to another installment of Q&A. Today we're discussing gods. How quaint. Friends, this is where, after having watched and reacted to one of the original series episodes, I like to do a deep dive, go in and find some things behind the scenes that, if I had looked them up beforehand, would have ruined them for me. And to keep myself from getting too far into the weeds, I like to make sure that I kind of confine myself to 5 distinct categories or lanes. The first of which is, who was our writer and director? The second, guest stars. Did we have any? 3 of the core cast, or the big 8 that we have now, who was available for this episode. 4, our production notes. What really went on behind the scenes, and what fun little tidbits can we uncover? And last but certainly not least, category 5, what memorable quote can we take from this episode? Friends, let's get started. All right, everybody, for our first category, writer and director, who were they? Well, our writer was a brand new writer for the Star Trek universe, Gilbert Ralston. And Mr. Ralston did a good job, but we'll talk a little bit more about Mr. Ralston when we get down into production notes. But needless to say, credited for the episode of Who Mourns Adonis, and it's one that I personally liked quite a bit. And of course, our director, the triumphantly returning, laurels in hair, Mark Daniels. We haven't seen him since Space, and of course he has been a prolific contributor to the Star Trek universe, and I'm very, very glad to see his work back. His fingerprints are all over this episode, none more so than the really excellent use of the stunt shots that we had in this one. A couple of where James Doohan's stunt double goes flying from being hit by Apollo, and of course that spectacular shot of the stuntman flying over and around the captain's chair, over and to come to rest in front of Chekhov's station at navigation. Really, really good stunt choreography and filming in this one, courtesy of Mark Daniels. Friends, let's move on. And now for our second category, our guest stars. Who were they? Did we have any? Of course we had some this time. The most prominent of which was probably Michael Forrest as Apollo. And we also had Leslie Parrish as Lieutenant Carolyn Palamas. And of course I have to mention this because our blue-eyed boy, got some lines this time. Got some meaty, juicy lines to work into, as John Winston appeared as Lieutenant Kyle. Good stuff, my friends. But let's move on. And now our core cast of the Big 8. Who is the Big 8, you say? Well, the Big 8, according to us, is Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and also Sulu, Scotty, Uhura, and our recent additions are Chekhov and Nurse Chapel. Everybody appeared in this one except for Christine Chapel. She was absent, but we did have 7 of the 8, and everybody was involved, which I think is a double bonus for our core cast, when we had not only everybody there, but everybody actively engaged and involved in the resolution of this week's problem. Great, great stuff, and that's why I think I love this episode so much. But let's move on. And now, friends, for the biggest, the meatiest, the juiciest, the most drama-ridden part of this whole thing, it's our production notes. So, friends, let's go through each of I picked 5. There was a lot. I picked 5 juicy little tidbits for this production notes of Who Mourns Adonis, so we could go over and figure out just what happened behind the scenes. So let's start with Michael Forrest. Michael Forrest stated that he was near a last-minute replacement for the role of Apollo, who was originally conceived, written, and designed for Jon Voight. But much like many of the other things that we have heard here for Star Trek, the original series, because of production delays or reschedulings or flipping of scripts and plots, or, shooting episodes in a different order than maybe originally designed, whenever kind of coming up with an annual schedule. By the time they got around to shooting Who Mourns for Adonis, Jon Voight had already committed to another project, as was almost always the case. They did have time, however, to have Michael Forrest come in and audition, and I thought it was interesting because in their last-ditch attempt to find somebody, the place that they went to mine for somebody wasn't Hollywood per se. They went to the local Southern California Shakespearean Guild to see if they could find somebody competent enough, capable enough to play the role of a Greek god. And I believe they did. Now, for our next tidbit, friends, from the production notes, Michael Forrest was no stranger to acting in Hollywood. He had been doing so quite a bit. His physique and his size kind of lent him to many character roles and things of that nature. So he was very familiar with many of the people that were in the cast. But he also was a huge contributor to the aforementioned Southern California Shakespearean Society. And so when he was the leading person or leading man in many of these stage plays, he got a bit of not necessarily a familiarity with everybody, but he became a well-known face, as people would often go to see Shakespeare just for recreation or enjoyment. And so with this, many of the other actors who performed Shakespeare as well also had encountered Forrest, so he was familiar to many, but to one in particular. He worked side by side with Leonard Nimoy in the play Death Watch, where they formed a lifelong friendship. And it wasn't necessarily a close friendship, but it was a very solid working relationship, and they each had very, very favorable comments about the other when asked at any point in their lives. And so, I think it was kind of neat that even though Jon Voight wasn't able to go, they were able to bring in a semi-familiar face. And I also think it was neat that the first place they turned to this time was the Shakespearean Society. And now to shift gears a little bit and get away from Apollo a bit, Fred Steiner was the composer of the music in this episode, and it was a humdinger. He actually was able to come up with several unique scores for this episode, which I'm told, and I didn't read any further into this because it's sort of naming episodes, that they reuse most of the score, the musical bits from this episode numerous times in the future. They thought it was so good, and I thought it was excellent as well. I thought it was the entire story was very well constructed, and I think that production did an excellent job of putting it all together, obviously under Mark Daniels' direction, but, it was a very tight episode, and I liked it quite a bit, and the music only made it better, and I'm sure it'll only make any future episodes they use it in better. Now, friends, it wouldn't be a production notes without some sort of drama, and it wouldn't be a production notes without some sort of drama involving the script. And so here we are. Gilbert Ralston's script for Who Mourns for Adonis, it was drawn from a premise by Gene Roddenberry, and it was, again, heavily revised, let's just say, by Gene L. Kuhn before production. So it was one of those situations where Kuhn remained uncredited for it. Even though it was, from everything that I've read, this was a very similar situation to some scenes we've had in the past where there had been a premise and a script submitted, and an almost complete rework of the script is what we actually see in the episode. This is what happened for Who Mourns for Adonis. Now, as I wanted to know exactly why they stopped using like the teleplay by, because it said, normally in the past, in the early part of season 1, if there had been a script written by somebody, it would say, a script written by, Joe Schmo, teleplay by Gene L. Kuhn, teleplay by DC Fontana. And I wondered why they stopped doing that. Yeah.
I found a couple little pinpoints that hinted towards this exclusion going forward. Apparently, they were very, very concerned that if they started adding what they call detractors from the credits, if you have more than one person kind of credited with the story, it detracts from whoever would have received a solo credit for it. And so, in doing that, they wanted to shy away from the teleplay by because they were very scared that science fiction writers and writers in general would stop working with them for fear that they would take their work, completely rework it, and then kind of, extract some of that or detract from the credit that they should have received. And so going forward, we might have a lot of people that submit scripts that are nothing like the episodes that we see, but people like DC Fontana and Gene L. Kuhn and Roddenberry, they will not be receiving teleplay credits for it, despite probably having rewritten 99% of it. Again, it was a game that had to be played in Hollywood, and I can see it from both sides because of production constraints and money and asking someone to rework something. But it was a political game, and they played it as well as they could. And my friends, last but certainly not least, this is the one that I sort of wish they would have kept. I don't sort of wish. I really wish they would have kept this one. The original ending for Who Mourns for Adonis is as follows. Whenever they return after Apollo becomes part of the Wind, and they return to the Enterprise, and they are kind of going through debriefing about what happened once the away team returns back up to the ship, McCoy takes Kirk aside and he says, after he was giving the physicals or, the medical evaluations to all of the away team to make sure that they weren't injured or, just the typical stuff that he was supposed to do, he was going to inform Kirk that Carolyn was pregnant. And again, Carolyn was going to say that she had no physical relations with Apollo, and this was more of a sort of a divine blessing. Well, the network didn't like that at all because that, I guess, it skewed more towards, a religious take, a divine birth type of thing. And they didn't want to get into any of that. This ending was there almost to the it was there for the table read. When they read the table read, the ending had Carolyn being pregnant. And this is what again, that's a cool ending. And I think it's kind of almost like a cliffhanger that probably would never have been explored, I thought. But however, I read a note that Gene Roddenberry really wanted this ending, because he wanted to use the child for a future plot point in a future season. Oh, the hint of serialization. We almost had it, my friends. But alas, we didn't. Let's move on. And our very last category, my friends, memorable quotes. There's a lot of them that I really liked in this one, especially like the Kirk one, would it have bothered us to gather a few laurel leaves? I thought that was really good. But what I wanted to encapsulate was kind of that last moment of Apollo. I think that, when Apollo is sitting there, asking the other gods to take him with him, that he was wrong. I think that was great, but that in and of itself didn't capture the essence of the episode. But I think this quote does. You tell me if you think it does. This is what Apollo says to Carolyn when they are talking alone. And he says, a god cannot survive as a memory. And I think that is very profound. It's almost kind of a Tinkerbell, clap if you believe in fairies type of thing, where it is the faith of the flock that keeps the god or keeps the godhead figure alive. And I really like the idea that just that loss of faith, loss of memory, loss of not respect, so to speak, but worship, it just slowly eroded the pantheon until only Apollo remained. And when the last vestiges of human civilization, or not civilization, but human contact, or, kind of reject Apollo, he too becomes part of the Wind, as a god cannot survive as a memory. Friends, thus ends another installment of Q&A. Until next time we meet, behave.